Are you taping it then?
Lunch Creek.
Now we're going to our little cottage, Dad, right?
Yeah, we're on our way, Dave. We're going down Logan Pass. Ooh, that was cool.
Tape that waterfall too. Did we go into the tunnel yet?
There it comes. Oh, look at this waterfall. Another weeping wall.
Boy, that's a high one. Can't even see the pink line in this darkness, Dad.
What is this, Dave?
Tunnel. Tape the tunnel. Can't even see the white line, Dad.
Just remember, it's better out. That one straight ahead here. And when we turn here, Dan, you get a better picture. Oh, that is a beauty.
It's the hugest one back there. That's the smallest one.
Okay.
What this is?
This is, what was it, guys?
Jackson Glacier.
Jackson Glacier.
Did you find something really?
Trouble is that windshield is so dirty, Danny. It's such a good sight.
Be 40 degrees below zero, and the next day be 60 degrees above zero. So it's pretty amazing. You have those winds coming down from the north, getting blown down, and you can even see there's certain kind of clouds that accompany those winds. They're like real soft clouds, and they're real high. They look like an artist brushed them. It almost looks like somebody painted the clouds as opposed to nature made them. And This is an example of the hot air mass meeting the cold air mass and forming these kinds of clouds, as opposed to, say, like the tornadoes you would get back in the Midwest. You just get these real warm Chinook winds. Well, this area was originally carved out by glaciers, but let's go a step further back from that. As you look towards the mountain ahead of us, which is Goat Mountain, by the way, and so in a glacially made lake, you don't see many islands because the glacier does come down with such force and grinds them all out. Well, we have this one here and one other island up the lake called Rainbow Island, and these are pinnacles shooting up out of the bottom of the lake just the same way as that mountain point. So they come from the west going east, and like about 10 feet off the close side of this island, it drops off right to 200 feet deep. It's pretty amazing. But this island here is sort of interesting other than that, in that it was named after a family of geese that used to nest there back in the 20s to the early 30s. And it is one of the most photographed islands in the United States. You've probably seen this on more picture postcards and calendars than you care to remember. I think every time you go past here, Eastman Kodak makes about $1,000. But it's a very picturesque island. Also, there are all 17 species of trees, which are indigenous to the east side of this park, growing on that island. So that even though the weather gets so severe here, nature tries to do its best to grow. And as we go around the right-hand side of this island, you'll see how strong the winds are, because on the windward side, there's hardly any growth on these trees. Editor of Forest and Stream magazine. That was George Grinnell. And he finally got George to come out here after about 5 years. And George liked it so much that he decided to start writing articles in Forest and Stream magazine. Well, after being here for about 10 or 15 years, every summer he would come up and bring friends of his up to hunt, fish, and things like that. He finally decided to petition the U.S. government to make this a national park. And he had a lot of lobbying power, so he finally got this created as a national park with some other folks in 1910. So we're celebrating our 75th anniversary this year, and I'm glad that they made this 1 million acres a national park, save for my kids and me and you guys. It's a neat place to come to. Railway out to the west coast. And that runs along the southern border of this park at Marias Pass. Well, now James Hill thought that being that this was a national park now, this would be a great place to bring people out on his train and to get them to ride. And so what he did, he thought that he would try to get a concession to build for him to see the park, and so you didn't need to ride horses in the backcountry either. So you had a dwindling need for those chalets. Also, with the weather being as severe as it is, when we went to World War II, the visitation of the park dropped off to almost zero, and the money that was usually allocated towards the upkeep of the chalets went towards the war machine, so that they tore most of these places down after they fell into a state of disrepair in 1946. Now, on your left-hand side, getting back to talking about glacial cirques, look up there into that mountain pocket. That's a perfect example of a glacial cirque, or a hanging valley. And those are snowfields up there. The difference, by the way, between a snowfield and a glacier is that to be a glacier, snowfields don't move. They melt, they come and they go, but they don't really move. Glaciers have to be in motion, and they have to be a solid field of ice at least 100 feet thick. So we can have a lot of snowfields, but we don't have that many glaciers. There's only 54 or 55 in the park. The largest being the Grinnell Glacier, over by Mini Glacier Hotel. That's about 350 acres. And the next largest one being the Sperry Glacier at about 275 acres. These glaciers, by the way, were not formed 1,000 years ago. Oh, I got a bird flying. And peaked out in the 1880s and have since then been melting off. And we figure within the next 100 years, yeah, that's an eagle. It's a golden eagle. They always mate for life. All right, you guys got an extra treat today. We saw a bald eagle last week on the boat. And in the fall, if you go over to Lake McDonald, over to McDonald Creek, they have a run of kokanee salmon there. The first 2 weeks of October, all those golden eagles will come down and sit right next to the water, going for a free fish snack. And they've counted anywhere between about 250 and 375 of them over there. But the golden eagle, if you're in the park and you see it, they do mate for life, and they have a really interesting mating dance in that the female will start to fly around on the high spires, and she'll start to circle around, and then the male will start to follow her, and she'll go into a dive off the front face of the mountain. And she'll get going about 90 miles an hour, and the male will catch up with her, and they'll interlock talons, and they'll just be plummeting dirt, just like going down, down, down. You swear to God they're just going to crash and blow up, right? Well, about 25 or 50 feet from Earth, they just break apart and swoop up. That's really a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go on that thing and photograph the falls. Good luck. We are here 15 minutes.
Julie, hang on her.
Oh, mommy.
By the way, we've got some younger members of our group here, and for those of you that are 12 years old and under, if you haven't heard about it yet, we do have a junior ranger program in the park. And what that consists of is, first of all, there are special programs that are just for kids. And here in St. Mary Valley, that program is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon every day. It lasts an hour down, and the mountain goats come down to the lower elevations. Why do they stay up above? It's basically because they have adapted to that type of environment. Their fur coats are too heavy to be able even to get along comfortably in the slightly lower elevations. And also their hoof configuration, the way their hooves are made, is the fact that the bottom of them are very spongy, so that when they step down on a rock, it's almost like a suction cup, so that they can hang on very easily. And so they get around up there so easily that their adaptation just works for that area. And they don't do as well down at the lower elevations, even at, you know, like say, there is a pyramid-shaped mountain with a horizontal snow patch going across it. It's right up here beside us. It's not back behind. It's right up beside us. That horizontal snowpack is actually a glacier. At the left-hand end of it, you can see the broken up looking area that is the ice face. That is Sexton Glacier. And it is a living glacier. It's not a dormant ice sheet because it is in motion. That's the definition of a glacier, that the ice has to be thick enough, to be heavy enough to actually move it down slope. And so we never know from one season to the next how many glaciers we have in the park, because some of them will melt out during a hot summer like this. They're no longer heavy enough to move, so they become a dormant ice sheet. Then we might have a very cold winter with a lot of snow and a cool summer, and they might start building up again, get enough weight, and start to move again. So they tend to come and go like that. We're now coming up on a very important piece of real estate in the St. Mary Lake. It's a little island right here. Now, you might think that that was a nice stable piece of something in the lake. Well, I'll tell you, it's not. That is John's Island. And this island and hauls it up the lake, anchors it, and they use it as a navigation aid. There was one problem. There was one morning that he was rather sleepy, and there was a bit of a fog out. And he came up here and he anchored it in the wrong place. And they couldn't find the lake the entire day. It was awful. Boy, did he get it, I'll tell you. And Wild Goose Island that's down below us here are glacial erratics. They are harder stone. They're made out of Alton limestone, and it was harder than the rest of the stone around them. So when the Great Glacier carved this valley, it could not knock out the entire stone. Carved over the top of it, but it left it there. So actually that little island is over 280 some feet tall, because it actually anchors down onto the bottom of the lake. But it's much more fun to blame it on John. The rainbow. I was nuttier than most. Okay, you're starting to be... You can see his nose, and then the space going in, and his mouth right below, and his chin, okay? And if you go up the left side, you've got his forehead, and there's a crease across the snowpack that's his eye. And then up along the top and going toward the right would be the feathers of his headdress. Can you pick that out? Good imagination, right? Well, that's what the Blackfeet say. It's Snuffy, looking down to protect his people. Okay, the whole snowpack is his head and his face. Go to the left-hand side of the snowpack, and the long section, that long sweep, is his forehead and down his nose. Then you go back to the right, you've got the bottom of his nose, and come down a little, you've got his mouth, and his chin goes back to the right in a straight line. Yeah, the whole snowpack is the face.
river. Oh, that's the river.
Where's Danny?
Hiding behind a rock. Which rock? The big rock. Which big rock?
I love this falls. This is beautiful. Yeah, it's already on the this little pond. It looks like something out of a Hollywood movie set. And there's the boy just having a good time. Okay, you know what? That comes out of a cave.
No, Dad, we got the bridge. We got the bridge. And we got the bridge.
Sure.
Not by yourself. You, where are you going?
It's our mountain goat.
Get away. Come on, stay.
What? You cut it out.
I just love this scene so much. I just can't get enough of this falls. It is so beautiful. Yeah, a couple of these stones are wiggly.
Oh, you made it.
Let's go that way.
All these pretty little flowers.
There's a prettier one.
And here, where's the prettier one? Ah,
Raise
there's.
your hand.
There's a pretty little flower. Hi, are you a flower?
No,
Say
she's
no.
not a flower,
Say no,
right?
Alyssa.
No.
No. Okay. This is for, I know she likes lots of flowers.